Hello and welcome again to the Britannia Bullion podcast, where we try to aim just to cut through the noise and to help you understand what is happening around the world in the most simplest form. Today, again, we're here with Matthew, the analyst of the century, just to get Matthew's opinion on one topic in specific of what is happening in the Middle East. What we want to do is help our clients understand in its most simplest form not only what is happening, but also to the ramifications that can come from what is happening too. Hello, Matthew.
Kane, good to see you. Good to be back. It feels like a very different world since our first podcast. We seem to be intent on blowing ourselves up again. So it's a very worrying time, but equally some excellent opportunities for those that want to convert capital into physical gold.
I agree. Us or Donald Trump?
I think Trump is probably a patsy. I think he was probably. I think this war has been planned for a couple of decades, and Trump was the only president that was stupid enough to take the bait. Whether that's Epstein related or not is another theory. But certainly, I think this war has been on the cards for a very long time. And as I say, Trump was the perfect vehicle to bring us to the position we're in.
Absolutely, and help our viewers understand why people should be. Maybe worried is the wrong word, but
I think they should be worried. I think they should be terrified. The problem with this war is that it won't stay over there. It's going to come and hit your wallet. You may not be able to see the missiles today, but you will feel it in your wallet. We are about to go into a global economic downturn. I can't see any other way out of it. You've got 20% of the world's oil. We're going to have an oil spike, which will lead to a spike in energy, which will lead to a spike in food, which will lead to a spike in heating costs. So we're up against it again, and that's after COVID, after Ukraine, after cost of living crisis, after inflation in double digits. We're now staring down the barrel again of inflation back in double digits, of massive volatility throughout the entire globe. We're probably going to go into a global recession.
I agree too with you. I think what a lot of people seem to miss is the fact that there have been several events leading up to this that you could say not. Maybe failed is the wrong word, but perhaps maybe haven't worked the way that the elites or those above us are in charge wanted them to work. And now they're seeing this as it's another opportunity for us to print ourselves into oblivion, to erode the purchasing power of the number one currency, which is the US dollar, although gold has now overtaken US dollar as the number one reserve currency to the world. Central banks are now buying gold the same way they used to buy the dollar, and we mentioned this several months ago. We've mentioned this loads of times on different occasions. What do you think people are missing about this when they read about it on the news or watch something on the news?
I think they're missing the consequences. What we're seeing at the moment is lovely sort of night skies. It looks like 5th of November, and they're enjoying the drama. What they're not realising is there's going to be consequences. So they can see the missiles, the political statements, the maps, Strait of Hormuz. But what they're missing is this is going to come back and hit them hard in their wallet. They're missing the disruption to oil routes, the shipping insurance costs, the supply chain disruption. All of this is going to come home to roost. We may not see it today, but 1 month, 3 months, we're going to be hurting. And gold will then surge. The dollar looks strong at the moment, but that's artificial. What we're seeing is the price of a Brent crude oil has gone from circa $65 to $70 a barrel, now to at its peak today at about 113. So 4 weeks ago, if I wanted to buy oil, bizarrely under the petrodollar agreement, I have to change my currency into dollars. More and more countries are waking up for that being a sham that it is. So previously, if I wanted a barrel of oil, I need to buy 70 US dollars. Today, I need to buy 113 US dollars. Yeah. So it looks like there's an increase in demand for the dollar. Whereas anything, it's not more people buying the dollars, it's just individuals or countries or companies buying that dollar need to buy more to buy the same goods. So it's sort of an artificial increase in the value of the dollar. Equally, we're now having, because there's more risk in the system, you're having to pay a higher yield on US treasuries, on US debt. So again, because there's a higher yield, the dollar looks more attractive as a safe haven play. The dollar and gold always compete against each other as a safe haven play. The dollar right now is stronger than gold. Because there's a higher yield and there's more demand for the oil. What normally happens when we have these massive geopolitical shocks is that initially in the first 1 to 3 months, we see currencies surge, and then typically gold rallies, and it rallies hard. When you look at the data, we've seen that in the 70s when we had similar problems with oil, disruption to oil routes, and oil embargo. We saw gold go up 20x. In the recession of 07-08, a global financial crisis, we saw the value of gold go up threefold. So it looks like now is a really good time to be buying gold. We can buy at an artificially low price. I think when you understand that as a market, gold has never peaked. So it has never hit an all-time high, which sometimes it'll hit one, go sideways or come backwards, then it'll recalibrate and beat it again. So as a market that's never peaked, and our previous high is 3950. So buying gold today at sort of circa 32, that to me is you're buying with a built-in £700 circa discount per troy ounce. And it's difficult to imagine gold's not going to rally or surge when you look at the historic data and you look at the pickle we're in. We're about to go into a global economic downturn.
I agree. Also, didn't gold go to like 4,000?
I think it was 3,950. There or thus. There was one day when it went straight up and it came straight back down.
Yeah.
I think it was a glitch.
No, I agree with you. And some people would say this is a bit of a stroke of master genius by Donald Trump to force surrounding countries back into the petrodollar.
I'd be reluctant to use the word genius and Trump in the same sentence.
Yeah. What actually happens to the global economy when you see something like what's happening or unfolding in
it has to shrink, it has to contract, it has to curb growth and expand debt, which again gold loves. Any expansion of debt is more monetary units coming into the system, which only sadly devalue the value of the pound in our pocket. So then we need more of those pounds to buy our same goods. So now when we go to the supermarket, we spend the same amount, but we come out with a bag less. So our money's going to get eroded away. We've just been through the last 5 years where we've lost 25%. 25% of the value of our money. Yeah. Now, and we've been tricked. We've been conned, because if I had £100,000 in my bank account yesterday and I logged on today and it said you have 75,000, I would immediately call the police and say there's been a theft. Someone's stolen 25% of my money. But because when I log on today, it still shows £100,000, but it only buys me £75,000 worth of good, there's no theft to report. There's no evidence. But that's the common. We're witnessing the biggest transfer of wealth, the biggest theft, and we're witnessing it while we're awake with open eyes, using our banking apps and platforms every day. We've just lost 25% of the value of our money. That was over the last 5 years, where again we had massive volatility. We had Russia and the Ukraine to unwind. We had Israel on October the 7th. Then we had Israel and Gaza, Israel and Lebanon. Now we've got this. This looks bigger. This looks worse. There's many more countries involved, and this looks like it can only escalate. It's going to escalate at 10:45 this evening, where Trump said unless they reopen...
That's 48 hours that he's given
from Saturday night to Monday night. So unless they completely open the Strait of Hormuz, which they will not do, he's going to start blowing up their energy infrastructure. They said, fine, then we'll blow up the energy infrastructure across the Middle East.
Yeah, and that was the biggest is to be hit first.
Yeah.
Trump, wasn't it?
Now, the problem with that is the reason why we have the petrodollar, the reason why the dollar is so strong, bizarrely, is because we need more dollars to buy the petrol. I can see the Middle East going, we're not going to price it in dollars anymore.
Yeah, what we're getting.
Well, no, the agreement was we would price oil in dollars and you would protect us. Yep. You were going to bring your military over, train our military, you were going to militarise us, all the air defence, the bombs, the tanks, the missiles, the soldiers. Well, that didn't happen because the UAE has been battered. You know, Iran was firing into the UAE at will, be it Bahrain, UAE, Kuwait, Saudi, Dubai, whatever they wanted to hit and strike, be it AWS, the Amazon's data center for its banking, be it a CIA building in Kuwait, be it oil fields in Bahrain, whatever, they've hit it. So they're not going to say to the US, thanks for your protection. I think they're going to say to the US, get out. The military bases in the US have been obliterated. There's no money to rebuild those. And I don't think there's any will or want for the US to be in the Middle East. Yeah. So I think as they have to retreat from the Middle East, there goes the petrodollar and there goes the value of your dollar.
And during times of war, throughout history, governments print money like drunken sailors, as you mentioned before several times.
Yeah.
And the more money that's printed, more money is put into the system to fund the protection. They might use it as a... We had to print the money to protect you and to make sure you was going to be safe and your family was...
For your benefit.
Yeah. By the way, now we no longer have any strength left in our currency, so we need to reset it now.
Well, look, wars are great for changing history. Wars are great as being a sort of a reset. Now, as we know, we are headed to a new monetary system, which isn't a secret. It's on the Bank of England's website, which is a CBDC. Yep. And you need some sort of shock, be it economic or geopolitical, to move us to a new monetary system.
Yeah,
and
we had to reset because of this.
Exactly. Because we've debased the currency. This fiat experiment has run its course.
Why does war always lead to higher inflation?
Because you have to print money. The more money you print, it devalues the existing monetary unit. So you have to print money because you've got to pay for a war. Yeah. Before the war, you didn't have to pay for it. Now we're in war, we've got to pay for it. So the only way to pay for it, because we can't raise taxes because we'll get voted out,
money.
we can't cut public spending because we'll get voted out.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We'll shake the magic money tree and we'll just print. Print. You can't print gold. That's why smart savers are turning to gold. You can't print gold.
Yeah.
What we have is what we have. And I think there's less and less left each year. So when we look at supply and demand, those forces absolutely work in our favour. And it's the opposite with currency, because they can just print and print and print. And every time they do, our pound is worth less and less, which artificially sends the price of gold higher, because now I need more of my pounds to buy the same cube of gold or the same coin of gold.
And it's going to be, people are going to be in for a rude awakening, I think, because the point is, you do not log on to your bank account or your savings account, your ISAs at the end of the year, and see a red warning sign. Sorry, you've just lost X amount of money. Because if that was the case, then there'd be quite literally hundreds of trillions of dollars flooding out of the more conventional methods of investments and flooding into gold. They want to do it in such a way where they make you believe you're not losing anything, that everything is fine, that
of course
you're actually making money. Here's a green plus of 4.25% you made in a year.
Of course. They're not going to give us the reality, because if we understood the reality, we'd all go to the banks and pull our money out.
But what do you think the fact of the war is progressing, it's getting more and more fierce? I mean, like you said this evening with Donald Trump's ultimatum to destroy Hamas, what effect is this going to have on the everyday saver, the people that have their money in the banks and their savings accounts?
The initial shock will be felt on the forecourts. That's where it will rear its ugly head first. And then it's going to be the debasement of currency. Then it's going to be stagnated growth, and then it'll be a recession. And then we could look at stagflation or hyperinflation. There's no easy way out of this conflict with the money that's going to be spent and the disruption it's going to cause to global markets. I can't think of any market in the world that isn't going to be affected by an oil price spike.
Yeah.
And the ensuing inflation. So globally, we are staring down the barrel of some very hard economic times.
We are already seeing signs of what we believe is going to come happening right now.
It's very difficult to see this resolving itself. It's almost impossible to escort ships through the Straits of Hormuz. That's the problem, right? Everything that's the bottleneck, the Strait of Hormuz. Well, you can't just reopen it. You can't escort ships through it. An oil tanker would be the slowest moving target in the world to hit with a drone, with a rocket, with an FSAB. Equally, the slowest moving target is sat upon billions of gallons of the most flammable liquid in the world. So they're great targets. You can't escort ships through that. They'll be so easily blown up. Remember, Iran has been preparing for this for 20 years. And their protocol, their gameplay was always to close the Strait of Hormuz. So they've done this. They've got the Mosquito fleet, which is their fleet of FSABs, fast speed attack boats, which are just tiny little speedboats full of explosives, and they just shoot it out straight into the side of the boat. You know, with the missiles that they're firing from, I don't know, about 2,000 miles away, they can watch this missile for 2,000 miles, and they've got 5 levels of air defence: the Iron Dome, the slingshot, the javelin, etc., and they can shoot it down. When you're launching a missile from the side of the mountain straight into the side of a boat, it's 22 miles. Yeah. You can't defend across that. Mm-hmm. So the US Navy was asked if they could do it, and they went no. And then Trump turned around and said to Europe, can you come and do it? They went, well, your Navy said no. Yeah. You're not prepared to put your soldiers in harm's way.
Which is going to be the puppets.
So why do we use ours? So again, this is really, once this war settles, again, when we look at the demand for the dollar, I can see so many countries going to Trump and the US, sod you lot.
We're done.
We were all quite happy on February the 27th. Out of nowhere, you go and invade Iran, a war of choice, an illegal invasion, and now we've got all these problems. Now I've got to pay more for my petrol. Now I've got to deal with inflation. Now I've got to deal with the fact that my GDP is going backwards and we're in a global recession. Because you broke the economy. Yeah. Because Netanyahu said to you, oh, give us a hand with this.
And I wonder why he said that as well.
Look, Netanyahu's made no secret about he wants Israel to be the dominant force in the Middle East. He's made no secret about that.
It feels like he holds something over Trump, doesn't it?
Yeah, whether that's Epstein, who knows? That's probably a different conversation for another podcast. But it does feel odd that Trump would have put so many people in harm's way after spending, maybe a year or 2 years on the campaign trail, where part of his manifesto was, I will start no new wars. I will end wars. I certainly won't start any wars in the Middle East, and I think the wars in the Middle East have been a disaster, cost us fortune and ruined our reputation on the global stage. Mm-hmm. Well, he's done exactly the same. He's put us potentially into a worse situation. This looks much worse than Iraq, looks much worse than Afghanistan or Syria, entirely, because they control the world's oil, which is the lifeblood of the world.
Yeah.
Every product consumes oil. Every product needs energy in its manufacture. So every product is exposed.
Yeah.
Every person's exposed. Every company is exposed.
Yeah. And don't you find it weird what's happening at the minute, though, with the volatility in the Middle East? And you look at the price of gold and we're down 14% circa compared to where we were last week.
Yeah, I think when you look through history, this is what typically happens. So currencies will surge first because there's a spike in oil, there's a spike in yields on long-term debt, and then gold normally rallies harder and goes past. So this is textbook play. But the smart investor that can look back through history, because to look forward, we always have to look backwards. So when we look backwards, we go, oh, that was a previous conflict similar to this. Oh yeah, gold dropped, then rallied. Oh, there's another conflict similar to this. Gold dropped, then rallied. So now we're in the drop.
Yeah.
So the advice is really simple.
What's
Buy
coming?
now.
Buy now.
Buy now when you're circa £700 beneath the all-time high, when we've never not recalibrated and matched an all-time high. Now, whether we reach that next week or in 3 months or 4 months or 6 months, I believe with every fibre in my body that we're going to go back past 3,950 because the history has taught us that we always recalibrate to that ATH or all-time high. So to buy in today, I think you're buying in with an artificial circa £700 per troy ounce inside the market price or beneath the market price, which has got to be a great way to buy into the market. Or even if you bought at a higher price, use this lower price to average your position down.
Buy a lower level, create
Absolutely.
a step ladder. So on the ascent, you're collecting profits.
Absolutely.
So not just one.
Most people understand that gold should be surging during a war.
Yeah,
they don't
yeah,
understand that it
of
has to pull back to go forwards. So this pullback just represents a great opportunity. Markets don't move in straight lines. No. They move in waves. They have a little surge, pull back, and surge again. Pull back, surge again. This is just the pullback. I mean, if you were interested in buying gold last week when gold was at 4,000, because the access, the privacy, the control, the tax-free growth, then you've got to love it at 3,200. It's the same product, just £800 cheaper now.
We're early. You have an early opportunity to take advantage of it. It's
a phenomenal opportunity.
It really is.
You're still going to get all the advantages. You're going to get double-digit tax-free returns. You're going to get the privacy. You're going to get the control. You're going to get the access. You're going to get the money away from the banks. You're protected against negative real interest rates. You're protected against the bank bail-in. You're protected against recession. It's war-proof. It's tax-proof. It's just the smart play in a war or during a war.
Who's buying gold at the moment?
Still central banks.
Central banks are still buying.
The biggest buyers. And look, they've been buying this. Did they know about this war last year? Probably. Because they've been big buyers for the last 4 or 5 years. So they probably knew about Gaza. They probably knew about Russia and Ukraine. These are the smartest people on the planet. They sit at the top table. They have access to the best analysts, the best forecasters. They must have access to the best economic data models or the latest singing, all dancing, all whistling AI.
Yeah.
And that's been reporting back to them for the last 5 or 6 years saying, buy gold.
Yeah, buy it now.
And the result of that, we look back over the last 5 years, gold's averaged, 30% per annum for the last 5 years? Mm-hmm. Tax-free. Mm-hmm. So that's why they were buying it, because they could see these returns were coming. Yeah. And they're still the biggest net buyers today. They're putting in around $100 billion each and every year into gold to protect against war, to protect against geopolitical shocks, to protect against currency debasement, to protect against recessions, all of which we're now staring down the barrel of. The only one we're not seeing right now is a weaker dollar, but I promise you that's to come. Yeah. When this dust settles, everyone realises that the US calls this. And do you think there's anyone in the Middle East? Do you think there's anyone in Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE, Saudi, Dubai? Do you think they're queuing up to buy more dollars after the US has just let them be bombed?
Yeah,
they've just decimated their tourist industry.
I can't really believe
they've decimated their oil production, and the US has been impotent,
silent,
completely impotent.
Silent.
So I see the big problems for the dollar, which is great news for those holding gold, because on that seesaw, weak dollar, strong gold.
So this is more than just noise. This is the real shift. This is the elites getting ready, perhaps, to implement a new currency, have an excuse to erode the purchasing power of what they already have. This is an excuse. This is the beginning of that reset, do we think?
Look, I think most people understand, and even the sort of naysayers now, we've only got to go onto the Bank of England's website, you can see we are headed towards a central bank digital currency. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. So as a government, how do you bring in a new monetary system that nobody wants? You collapse the initial one, the existing one. Well, what would collapse it? A war, a currency debasement. And again, we're staring down the barrel of that. We've only 2% of the population start worrying about this war and withdraw their money out, and it will collapse the entire system. So I think a monetary reset is inevitable. It's been scheduled, it's been planned. Otherwise, they wouldn't be building the architecture and the framework for a new monetary system. They're not doing that for giggles. That's being brought in.
And it was in COVID's 2020, 2022, 2023, you'd go onto the Bank of England website. Don't worry, we're just looking at the possibility of creating a CBDC, central banking digital currency. But now go onto the Bank of England website, and we'll bring it up on the screen now quickly. It states that we're now looking at how to implement CBDC, how to launch, and the war, we had to print, we had to protect, we've got no strength left. Here is the perfect excuse to now implement it.
And what sorry to cut a question, but what else do we hear about Iran, apart from the fact that the biggest state sponsors of terrorists around the world, albeit there's never been a single terrorist attack in the States from Iran. But the other thing we're always being fed about Iran, they've got Iranian hackers. Always hear about Iranian hackers. So what would stop Iran hacking our system and all our ATMs go down? Our banking system goes offline.
Yeah. There's a level,
be it Iran or a false flag.
Yeah.
Well, what would stop that?
There's a level of importance of when you're investing into something, you want to. Well, me personally, I want to be able to touch it. I want to be able to feel it. I want to be able to know that
it's there. It's real.
I'm in control of it,
and you're in control,
not somebody else. This is my last layer of defence that I can control.
Yeah,
rather than being some third party that you don't know and you have no control over, and in the small T's and C's of the 56 pages that they write. Your money in our institution is ours.
Absolutely. You've loaned that money to us. It's not your money. So unfortunately, you can't have it back. Yeah. We're bigger than you and we're deemed to be more important. We're too big to fail. So we'll take your money out to make ourselves whole and we can issue you some shares in our bank, albeit the bank's now insolvent.
Do you think people, just as a little test perhaps, it'd be a wise move for people to go to their banks where they keep their ISAs and their savings and their family's wealth, etc. They've worked hard for, pay tax on. Do you think it would be a wise sort of suggestion? Go and try and take £10,000 out of your bank in cash.
Well, I think most people understand that you can't. Most people are aware anecdotally of speaking to friends and colleagues. Everyone's got a story to tell about how you go to the bank and they say, no, you can't have your money. Computer says, no, you can't have it. I had it myself. Well, in fact, it was with you. You wanted to borrow £400, remember?
Oh, I remember, yeah.
So I went to the bank to try to get £400. They said no.
Yeah.
They said, you can't have £400. They said, I saw you've got to come around the back and there'll be lots of interviews and questions and forms to sign, or the only way we can try and make the system work for you, I had a 250 limit. Said, we'll increase your limit from 250 to 400, but only for an hour. So you can put up the 400, then we'll... Just to get £400.
Of your own money.
Of my own
you
money.
Pay tax on. It's yours. It's yours.
But unfortunately, I've loaned it to the bank.
It's not yours. That's the whole point. A lot of people miss this point. Your money going into the system, into the banks, as much as you feel that it's yours because you can see the binary code, the ones and zeros on a computer screen, it absolutely isn't ours.
No.
We don't have control over that.
And the clue is because you can't see it, access it, or touch it. If you can't access something, do you own it?
No, you don't. And that's where gold comes into it.
You can't access your money. I mean, where is your money today? Most people understand there's no locker or safe with their name on it and all their pound notes. Our money just sits in binary code on a server stick or on a USB stick in a server farm in Finland or Greenland, wherever. We can't see it or access it or touch it. It doesn't even exist in a virtual form. It is literally virtual reality.
It is. And over the next 3 to 5 years, where do you see the price of gold going?
Well, unfortunately, I think any prediction have to be thrown out now because of this eruption, this escalation of the conflict in the Middle East, which we keep calling it a conflict. I mean, I think the Falklands was a conflict. This looks like a war to me when you see the amount of missiles that's being launched, the amount of death, the amount of destruction. So I think any predictions have to be reworked. And I think it's almost impossible to make a prediction given the unknowns that we're facing. No one quite knows what's going to happen here. I mean, Iran could fold tomorrow, could take a ceasefire deal tomorrow. Equally, they could be entrenched for another 6 months.
Yep.
So nobody knows. So I'd be very reluctant. What I can forecast is further volatility. What I can forecast is much more fear and uncertainty. What I can forecast is much more disruption to markets, and that in turn will lead to an increase in the value of gold. So I see gold continue to surge. Once it recalibrates past the dollar, then she'll rally hard, and then that'll be the place to be for gold.
You've also got to look at the dollar as well. We're steaming towards $40 trillion of debt.
Yeah.
Every single day in excess of multiple billions
and this
of dollars.
Excursion, as Trump calls it, is only going to add to that debt.
Every single day that the Strait of Hormuz, the war is costing $1 billion.
Around $1 billion, yeah.
Okay, and at the moment with the Strait of Hormuz being closed for circa
3 weeks,
the time to get the passage back into normal mode is going to take months, right?
Oh, it's not just opening the Strait of Hormuz. More worryingly is the attacks on the oil production, on the infrastructure across UAE So they're saying some of those could take years to rebuild. So even the output from the Middle East, its capacity to produce oil has been diminished. So even if the Strait of Hormuz was open, which I think is going to take months to open, you can't open that. It'll be down. The only people that can open that is Iran, and they're pretty much saying we're going to close it permanently from this evening. So there's just further volatility, further fear, further uncertainty, all of which gold loves.
Price drivers for gold.
All price drivers.
And they're all on the table at the same time.
All on the table, all active, all in play.
What should people be doing at the moment that are quite concerned about the state of what's happening in the Middle East, but also not just in the Middle East, in the UK, in our own country?
If I was worried about anything in life, I insure it. So if I'm worried about dropping my phone, I insure it. If I'm worried about crashing my car, I insure it. If I'm worried about getting sick and can't go on a holiday, I insure it. If I'm worried about people breaking into my home and stealing my goods, I insure it. So insure your capital by converting it into gold, because gold is war-proof, it's recession-proof and tax-proof. So insure it, and who knows, let whatever's going to happen over the next year or 2 years unwind. And if nothing happens, your worst-case scenario is you've got a big pile of gold. But if we're correct, and there is going to be a global disruption to global markets, we could see 3 or 5x on gold. But worst-case scenario, you've either got gold or you've got your 3 or 5x. Both look like win-wins to me.
Is it all about going all in on gold?
No, you'd never go all in on anything. It's about taking a structured approach. Maybe purchase some gold, see if it fits in with your model, with your investment objectives or your saving strategy.
Yeah.
And if you're happy and if you're comfortable and if you can see how the process works, you can always add to that position over time. You create yourself an investment ladder, buying at different price points.
And just to share with the audience my own strategy when it comes to investing into gold. So I know gold is a longer term investment, first and foremost.
Absolutely.
If you're looking short term, don't put your money into gold. To maximise your growth, it needs to be held full term, long term. I would never put all of my money into gold. I wouldn't put all of my money into anything, actually.
Spread risk.
Gold is, this is going to be a contradiction, but gold is risky. It does go up and down. However, the risk is mitigated in the sense that I shan't put 100% of my money into gold. So if it does go down 20%, then I don't need to sell it because I've not got everything in gold. But then I also think the risk is mitigated by the fact that you don't have 100% into it and you are in this long term. So if it goes down, chances are, like we're seeing at the minute, a lot more people are starting to buy back in as well at a lower level.
Absolutely. Average your position down or create an investment ladder on pricing as you go into the market. But the beauty of gold is if you understand how to use gold, you put the money into gold, which is long term, which money you don't need to access. So if you crash the car or the boiler blows up, you don't turn to your gold holdings, turn to your ISAs, the money in your current account, your savings account. And if it's that money that you can lay down, if the market's down, don't sell.
Yeah.
Why would you sell if the market's down? Just hold on to it. Yeah. And if you adopt that strategy, then it's really difficult to come out of gold backwards.
I agree. And why do you think more people now are starting to put money into gold?
I think more and more people are waking up that they're having less faith in their governments. I think they feel let down by successive governments. They feel let down by successive monetary policy and fiscal policy, which has seen the value of their pound be eroded away, seen their pension performance eroded away, seeing their money that their parents worked hard for to pass down to them. That's 25% down the last 5 years.
And if somebody does nothing over the next 12 months,
then expect no different returns. Nothing different's happened.
So I saw something that said, "This is what is this? What relevance does that have? Just a £10 note. Will that think for you? Will that think before you make a decision? Will it say, hold on, Matt, don't do that, don't do it? If you leave that there to do nothing, is that going to work for you?
No, look, typically the rule of thumb, the longer you hold fiat currency, the less it's worth because they continually print more of it. The longer you hold gold, the more it's worth because there's less left. It's as simple as that.
I think there's a lot of people that are holding on to this and thinking, I don't want to let this go. Like they're giving a lot of energy towards it, but then it gives nothing back to us. So I think people need to sort of separate themselves from the relationship they sometimes have with money. Yeah. Right now, it is about protection. It's about making sure that, maybe not this, but in 10 years' time, when Daisy needs a new car, you have something that is still there and also held its value, and two, hopefully, has increased in value. And that's exactly what gold gives us.
100%.
Security, safety.
Security, protection, privacy, control, access, tax-free growth, recession-proof, war-proof. You put jam on the top of it, we're good.
Yeah. So if you're thinking people are acting now, people are buying into gold now.
You should be buying now at this discounted price.
People are buying gold now. What do you think that's going to look like in the next couple of years?
Well,
5 years, 10
I
years
think
time.
pretty much immediately in the next 1 to 3 months, they're going to see circa £700 uplift per troy ounce per coin.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we're buying beneath the all-time high. And it's really difficult to see gold not an all-time high, given the massive geopolitical nightmare that we're facing.
Yeah. And what would you say to somebody that's still sitting on the fence?
You'll get splinters in your bum.
Simple as that.
Get off the fence.
Yeah, get off now while you still can. So tone-wise, we keep it calm. We keep it relatively relaxed, certain and conversational.
Yeah, there's no need for any sort of smoke or mirrors or hyperbole. We've only got to turn on our TV screens or pick up a newspaper today. We can see that we have a war in the oil production region of the world. That will cause an oil spike. Mm-hmm. That will cause an energy spike. That will cause problems for food and heating and fuel.
And this is what it looked like previously when we've even seen anything remotely along the levels of what we're seeing at the minute.
Absolutely.
And this is how gold responded.
Yeah.
Over a 12-month window.
Currencies always surge, pull back. Gold rallies, but rallies hard. And that's what we're going to see in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Gold will rally. People aren't going to want to keep buying the dollar to support the US when the US have caused all this. And some of the only countries benefiting right now from the higher oil price is the US, because they're the world's biggest producer and exporter of oil. So they're getting the higher. So suddenly they're getting billions and billions extra revenue. The cost of extraction, the cost of transportation is exactly the same, but their sale cost has doubled. So they're getting an extra 100% revenue just because they've gone and invaded another country.
It's going to be nice, isn't it, in 5-10 years' time, when we can sit there and we can say, right.
Maybe we're all speaking Chinese.
Maybe. We can sit there and we can say, we saw this coming, we made a decision, and it worked.
Yeah.
And now you've got your kids running around, they're happy, they can do what they want when they need to, they actually have real wealth. That feeling of knowing...
It's peace of mind, isn't it? It's that comfort, it's that peace of mind of knowing that you've ensured what's important to you. You haven't just left it at the mercy of Trump or NATO or Iran or the Straits of Hormuz or a missile.
Something that's decentralised, something that's delivered to your door.
Physical form in your possession.
You can control.
Your family.
Nobody can take it away
No
from
reporting on it, no taxation, off-grid, under the radar, privacy.
Outside of the system.
Outside
and
of the system.
in a world that is...
Unless you trust the system. Stay in it.
And in a world that's becoming more and more digitalised with every single passing day.
And more divisive, more splintered, more volatile. Get out.
Yeah, why would you want to leave your hard-earned money somewhere that you have no control over?
No.
But the alternative is...
I think it was Boris's line, was it, during Brexit, but it works in this example. Take back control. Have your money in your possession.
Yeah.
Pay yourself 10 or 12... Gold has averaged 10 or 12% per annum for 20 years. That's a lot of data. So take control back yourself, enjoy 10 or 12% tax-free growth per annum, as opposed to 2% from your bank, where you don't own your money. The banks make the money off it. Over the last 5 years, the banks made 250 billion, and you went backwards 25%. If the bank wins on their investments, they don't give us any extra money. But if they lose, they can take our money as their stake money. That's the definition of a rigged game. I can't win.
Yeah.
The game's rigged. So why do I want to play a game where I can't win, where my family can't benefit? If anything, I'm just exposing my family's future because I'm leaving my money in virtual binary code in a system that I don't understand.
Do you feel that more and more people are waking up to the reality of
look how many more inquiries we take each week. More and more people are waking up almost from this sort of coma-like state where they're suddenly going, hang on a minute, my money's going backwards. This doesn't feel correct. And then they're reaching out to us. Well, can gold help that? Can that resolve that? Just different strategies, be it bars, coins, certified, whatever you want. There are ways where you can protect your capital, get that growth that you're missing, and have the freedom, the peace of mind, the luxury of privacy, access, and control.
I'm blown away when I go and do a shop. I'll go with my young son, and after he's got his chocolates and his fizzy cola and this and that, we'll get to the checkout for one dinner. We're looking at 50, 60 quid just for crazy. One dinner. And what a lot of people don't realise is that's real inflation. That's the real cost of living of how much it costs us to be able to survive. When we get our coffees in the morning, they're now over £5 a coffee. Ludicrous. But then if our money has not kept up with the level of inflation, the real level of inflation of what products cost us to be able to purchase, then we are the bearer of that loss. Yeah. Not the banks, not the government. It's us. Everything else costs 40 to 50% more than it did this time last year. Whereas our money sitting in the more conventional methods of investments has made 4 or 5% if you're lucky.
If that, yeah.
But then even if we look at gold now and we look at the pullbacks, we look at the one of the largest pullbacks, or maybe the largest pullback gold has ever seen in history over the last couple of days, right? We're still sitting at circa 50% increase over a rolling 12-month window.
Yeah.
50. And it's something that's tax-free, delivered to your door, that you can control, all above board, completely legally. Don't feel like you're doing something wrong.
I think gold moving forwards be the preferred way to store wealth or to store capital, because it doesn't track backwards. Why would you work so hard to amass your money, your funds, to watch them go backwards? Because you can just convert them into gold, they go forwards.
Yeah,
no cost.
Clients do say to me, I don't know if I'm ready to spend any more money, Kane, at the minute. Fine. But one thing I will say, you're not spending your money, no. You're converting it from a currency that is backed by nothing into physical gold, which is the oldest
form of money in physical form
in the world.
Clients will quite often say to me, so hang on a minute, I get access, control, privacy, double-digit returns, the returns are tax-free, it's war-proof, it's recession-proof. Oh, this all sounds like it's too good to be true. Well, it's not. Let's flip that coin. It's not that what gold does is too good to be true. It's where you've got yourself entangled at the moment. It's just too poor to continue. Why would you continue that? Why would you accept that moving forwards, to lose money? It makes no sense. Not gold's too good to be true. What you're currently doing is too bad to continue.
And there was a picture. Hopefully we'll be able to put it on the screen now so people can see it. What this picture is two kiosks. There's one with gold at $1,000 and there's one with gold at $10,000.
Yeah.
The one at 1,000 has 2 people queuing up to buy. The one at 10 has 20 or 30 people.
Yep.
This will be a flood into gold, like something that we would never even have imagined to be a possibility.
Yeah.
Circa $300 trillion is going to come flooding out of the more conventional methods of investments.
All looking for a new home.
Guess
where they want it to be war-proof, recession-proof and tax-efficient.
And available, physical.
Ding, 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 we have a winner.
People are going to be doing this anyway. You'd rather do it at a lower level rather than a higher level.
100%. As I say, if you liked gold last week when it was £4,000, you're going to love it this week when it's $3,000. Same product.
Something with thousands of years of proven track record, and everything always goes back to gold. We always have gone back to gold.
Yeah.
Ever since Nixon took us off the stand in 1972 so he could fund war, right? We've been printing ourselves into oblivion. Fiat currency runs every sort of 80 to 90 years roughly, and this year is our 104th year of the US dollar.
As the global reserve currency.
As the global reserve currency.
They normally last 85 years. And we're 104, as you say, with the US.
So we're
and what normally brings them to the end is too much debt and trying to fund wars. The US is $39 trillion in debt and it's trying to fund a war. I mean, it's almost scripted.
The writing's so clearly on the wall.
Even Stevie Wonder could see it.
Stevie Wonder can see it, as a very good friend of ours used to say.
Why can't Stevie Wonder see his mates? Because he's married.
Oh. Right, guys, thanks for watching again. Hopefully we have cut through the noise partially, and you've taken something away from this that is going to help you, help your family, help yourself. Until next time, guys.